I have been very fortunate that this year I've gotten to ride many of the new for 2025 roller coasters. Siren's Curse is the latest roller coaster to open this year, and this time located at the coaster capital of the world, Cedar Point. The history of Siren's Curse is quite fascinating because, well, it was never intended for the park in the first place. If we travel back in time a few years, this roller coaster was intended and designed for Originality, a theme park from Poland. After reasons I'm not entirely sure about, the project was scrapped and Six Flags Mexico jumped at the opportunity of getting a tilt coaster. Well, that ride ran into problems that shut down the project entirely, leaving Six Flags with a roller coaster with no place to go. The Six Flags Cedar Fair merger completed at the start of July in 2024, meaning this homeless roller coaster was, I assume anyways, brought up in a boardroom meeting and the powers to be decided that Cedar Point should take it in. Construction on the project started almost immediately, making way for a park in record time. See, most amusement parks plan for many years around their upcoming projects, and according to the latest timelines, Cedar Point had mere weeks of knowledge prior to construction that they would be getting a brand new roller coaster in 2025. Fast forward to today, and this first of its kind roller coaster, or I guess that's not entirely true, so let's say the tallest tilt coaster in North America, debuted this weekend. I was fortunate to ride this roller coaster multiple times during a charity event prior to the ride's grand opening. Looking over the stats, you might notice how they don't seem to be on par with other recent Cedar Point editions. And by that, I mean this roller coaster is quite small in comparison to the rides surrounding it. Siren's Curse has a height of 160 feet, which from what I understand is only achieved when it's tilted at 90 degrees. That means those who are at the front of the train never reach the maximum height. The ride has 2,966 feet of track, max speed of 58.4 miles per hour, featuring 2 inversions. Before I continue with this review, please do me a favor by clicking on that like button. Newcomers to my channel that love Cedar Point and everything roller coasters, be sure to follow. Also, make sure to stay tuned until the end as I discuss the locker systems utilized on this ride. Presentation. I always start off my reviews by discussing presentation, and Siren's Curse has a lot of different things going on for it in this category. For starters, let's dive into the trains. This roller coaster operates with 2 trains that have a total of 6 cars each, allowing a maximum capacity of 24 passengers. The train design is very sleek and modern. There are 2 LED strips running down the side of the train that change colors and patterns throughout the ride. These LEDs really make a statement at night and are a real treat to watch in action. The trains are very similar to the ones found on Flash Vertical Velocity at Six Flags Great Adventure, including the onboard audio as well. This is a great feature that really pulls you into the story that is being told. The siren's soothing voice is calling you to the depths below where only doom awaits. You hear the siren's voice calling you as you climb the lift hill and approach the tilt track. This is my favorite and best use of the onboard audio, and I'll talk about the rest of the ride later. A couple lines taken from their website which kind of tells you the story. The legend and lore of the mysterious creatures living beneath the surface of Lake Erie comes to life with Siren's Curse, North America's tallest, longest, and fastest tilt coaster. Often spoken of but never spotted, the sirens of the lake who lured sailors to their underwater demise with their sweet, seductive songs will rise to the land above Cedar Point and attempt to entrap you in a sinister 2-minute fate of non-stop roller coaster innovation. The ride color scheme, which I only assume was originally tailored for Originality, features dark red track and dark gray supports. The bottom of the supports are painted green or brownish color to mimic either algae or rust buildup. Would have I preferred another color scheme from the red and the dark gray? Well, yeah, because it kind of seems repetitive amongst the park, but given with the time frame, I think the park managed quite well. There's a body of water that surrounds the bottom of the first drop and non-inverting loop element. I was actually quite surprised with the amount of detail that went into the theming and actually the amount of water surrounding this attraction. Dare I say this is now the most themed roller coaster at Cedar Point. With that said though, the theming is a little strange. I get the water and all for the Siren, but there is a floating oil drums and couple abandoned barges that make me think environmental disaster, chemical spill or something like that, which seems to stray a little from the Siren's mythology. Even some of the fences that surround the ride at the bottom of that first drop look a little tacky, but I guess it's supposed to look industrial, so I mean I get what they're doing, but nonetheless I kind of would have liked something else. Regardless of my opinion though, it's very well done, making this attraction feel like a complete package. My second and major gripe with Siren's Curse, which is strictly personal and I won't hold this ride back any points over this, the music. During the ride, after the Siren has lured you over the edge, the audio switches over to heavy metal grunge type music, which really isn't my cup of tea. I know some coaster enthusiasts are going to go nuts with this soundtrack, which I say more power to you. After a few rides though, the same song being played over and over kind of got repetitive. It would be nice if it could be changed up a bit, adding a little bit more variety. If I compare theming and presentation to the other Six Flags roller coasters, this is one of the best. And if only with the coasters at Cedar Point, this is about as good as it's going to get. Siren's Curse earns a perfect 10 rating in presentation. Ride intensity. Siren's Curse starts off with a quick chain lift getting you to the top of the tilt drop. The ride takes a slight turn to the left and the train slows down, crawling all the way out to the end of the track. Those riding up front will feel quite intimidated, knowing that there is only a couple of feet of track in front of you before free falling down 100-some feet. The train locks in place, which, side note, is completely safe. From what I can gather, there are multiple numbers of redundancies in place, keeping this train from rolling off that track during the tilt. Anyways, the train starts to tilt and lowers you down into the full 90-degree position. After a few seconds, the train releases and sends you down into a drop that immediately enters a sharp twist to the left. The ride levels out and flies right up into a non-inverting dive loop of sorts. Riders will get a nice dose of airtime cresting this maneuver. The ride now dives back down and enters a fast-paced 0G roll that leads into an upward turnaround. The coaster then performs a twisted triple down that, though not as intense, reminds me somewhat of the finale of Lightning Rod. It twists and turns while providing short pops of airtime before diving into a tunnel. Which, fun fact, this is the only roller coaster to dive underground at Cedar Point. All the other tunnels found at the park are above ground level. Siren's Curse now flies right up into a non-inverting loop. This element provides some nice whip and airtime entering and exiting the maneuver. The train performs a 180-degree turnaround that leads right into another 0G roll, which also leads into another 180-degree turnaround that sends you into the finale, two twisted airtime hills that, on a smaller scale, reminds me of the ending of Steel Vengeance. After these two airtime hills, the coaster enters the brake run and completes the ride. As far as intensity goes, well, I was slightly disappointed. Not to say this is a wimpy ride, just didn't have the bite I was hoping for. The layout is solid, offering a lot of fun airtime moments and twisted elements, but the G-forces never really got too crazy. Many of the other major roller coasters in the park are probably more intense than Siren's Curse. Outside of that intimidating first drop with the tilt track, I would say that this coaster would serve as a good stepping stone before moving over to some of the larger coasters at Cedar Point. Speaking of that tilt track, the actual drop was a lot less intense than I expected. I thought with that snappy turn, it would really pack a punch. Instead, it was almost forgotten about as you advance through the rest of the ride. To get the most out of this element, I recommend a ride in the very back. This is where you will experience the most out of that first drop, and side note, provide some excellent whip during the later elements of the ride. Siren's Curse earns a respectable yet slightly disappointing 6.5 score in ride intensity. Fun factor: During my multiple rides, all I could hear was praise from everyone else who was just finished riding Siren's Curse. Some claimed it was the best roller coaster in the park, others said it was the second best. Bottom line, Cedar Point is sure to have a solid hit on their hands. Those who love airtime are really going to be pleased with Siren's Curse. It's not intense airtime like found on Steel Vengeance or Maverick, but it gets the job done. The ride feels like a less intense Maverick, still giving you all that airtime with the twists and turns, just not at the same intensity level. Because of that tilt drop, this ride will easily become a GP magnet, similar to what you would see with dive coasters. It's really neat to watch and can be quite terrifying for many to ride. After seeing this coaster in action, capacity seems to be a lot better than I anticipated. The ride, when the staff is really moving, can send a train anywhere between 90 seconds to 2 minutes for a full cycle. It's not terrible, but for a busy theme park like Cedar Point, a place where a capacity monster is something desperately needed. Overall though, I think there is enough going for Siren's Curse to keep you engaged, even if it's not as crazy as other coasters in the park. I'm giving Siren's Curse a score of 8 in the fun factor. Originality. It's basically the first legit tilt coaster in the United States, something that most here have never seen. That alone is enough to warrant a perfect 10 score in this category. The rest of the layout is also somewhat unique, even if it kind of repeats itself a little bit or borrows from other manufacturers. Both of the zero-G rolls feel repetitive, I guess stealing a chapter right out of the RMC playbook. Every element is fun, I wasn't left disappointed by any particular part of the ride. As for the tilt drop, let's dissect this element a little more. As I said already, it will be a crowd pleaser and grabs your attention while walking by. However, it's more of a gimmick than anything else. You do get a little sense of weightlessness when the train is released, but it's quickly dashed by that turn. All said and done, it's an updated version of the first drop found on a dive coaster, except those tend to be taller. If Siren's Curse was built at almost any other theme park, the height of this attraction would look so much more intimidating. But being at Cedar Point, a place where 5 of the roller coasters break the 200-foot mark, it seems small in comparison. It sounds like I'm complaining when, in fact, I'm really trying to make the argument that Siren's Curse should have gone to another park inside the Six Flags chain. Sure, I'm happy that the coaster capital of the world has another roller coaster in their collection, but looking at their previous projects that tend to be world record-breaking attractions, this feels like a setback. Regardless of what I feel, this is a highly original concept, earning a perfect 10 rating in this category. Ride Smoothness. Unlike Top Thrill 2, which is a fantastic coaster, mind you, this, on the other hand, is a butter-smooth ride. No rattle, just glossy smooth. If you ask me, B&M should start taking notes because their rides, which used to be pretty smooth, have been getting rough as of late. The trains feature an over-the-shoulder vest restraint that has some give so you can still enjoy the airtime moments and not feel stapled to the seat. These style of restraint should accommodate a wide variety of guests, but if you are unsure, I always recommend checking out the test seat located at the entrance of the ride. Smoothness gets a perfect 10 score. Alright, the final technical score comes to 8.9, which is considered to be a good to great roller coaster. Siren's Curse is a really good roller coaster that will be a crowd pleaser for sure. Again, I still feel like this should have gone to another park, but I'm not gonna whine about it either because, it's a solid new roller coaster at Cedar Point, and I'm excited for them. Most of my complaints are personal, like the music. If you love the music, then I'm gonna guess that your opinion of this ride will be even more than my own. My personal score of Siren's Curse is gonna come in a little lower at an 8. It's a solid roller coaster with a decent layout and an original gimmick. Would I be happier if this was slightly taller or faster? Well, yes, because I'm a coaster enthusiast. I can make that argument about any roller coaster, really, but Siren's Curse, it's more of a classification. I was expecting this ride to go toe-to-toe with Maverick or Steel Vengeance. Instead, it takes a step back and keeps at its own pace. Because of this less intense layout, it will attract more guests, but I think as time goes by, Siren's Curse will turn into what it's now meant to this park, Another great supporting roller coaster. Before I close out this review, let me talk about the locker system. For those who are wondering, yes, Siren's Curse uses mandatory but free lockers that are placed near the end of the queue prior to entering the station. Only small items or a fanny pack will make it inside these lockers. Your souvenir cups will be turned away if you try to bring them through the queue. Larger bags, similar to the policy on Steel Vengeance, will need to be placed inside a paid locker, which can be located outside the queue or various places scattered throughout the park. After the lockers inside the queue, riders will enter through a metal detector, and let me tell you, these metal detectors are quite sensitive. Many guests ended up being wanded after walking through the metal detector, so don't be surprised if this happens to you as well. Well, that concludes my review of Siren's Curse. Until next time, this is Extreme Thrills.